So fun, quality themed club meetings. What we're going to do today is kind of look at this in three steps. We're first going to identify what exactly entails a quality club meeting. Then we're going to discuss some attributes and enhancements that you can incorporate into your club meetings to make them of quality. And then lastly, we're going to develop strategies so that we can consistently deliver these club meetings and what you hope your club gains out of producing a quality meeting. Firstly, I would like to have a brief discussion with everybody. And very broadly speaking, what does the word quality mean to you? Feel free to unmute and just chime away. I just want to do a very big broad stroke here about what we think the word quality means.
An effective learning meeting.
Yes, effective learning, absolutely.
Good value.
Yes, good value is another great one. Absolutely. Anything else?
The best.
The best. It could simply be just that. Now let's take it
a meeting I want to come back to.
Yes, absolutely. Now let's take it a step further. I want to just get to know a little bit more interpersonally. How do you incorporate quality in your everyday life? Once again, to get out of the Toastmaster realm, I just want to sort of focus in on you personally. I'll start first by saying that ever since I met my girlfriend 2 years ago, I have been doing a facial moisturizing routine that I've never done before, and it has definitely improved the quality of my skincare, that's for sure. Any other different types of, quality that you incorporate in your everyday life? Anyone?
Set yourself up for success, learn from what you like from the past and what you're going to try for the future.
Absolutely. That's a great one. Learning from the past. Anything else?
Structure.
Yep. Okay.
I walk 4 miles every morning.
That's a good one. Exercise.
And
excellent.
Yeah, my DEXA scans have been coming out very well.
Perfect. So as you can see, everyone, what everyone just talked about isn't something that just happens overnight. It's something that we are consistently working towards. I didn't just wake up one morning and was blessed with much better skin. The walking doesn't happen at a snap of the fingers. It takes work and it takes effort to bring quality into your everyday life. So now let's talk about quality in the Toastmaster world. Specifically, what is exactly a quality meeting? Now, quality in Toastmaster really centers around fostering a culture of excellence. At my presentation in late April, I was basing my idea of hosting meaningful meetings around club culture. And really, a meeting is the best way to understand the culture of the club. When you think about it, it is the most visible expression of the values, communication philosophy, and traditions, and sets the tone for member and prospective member expectations. Going off those member and prospective member expectations, what you want to produce, you want people to consistently come back to and want to know more about. And when you drive a quality meeting, this really helps meet those needs of your membership base. Ultimately, conducting smooth and impactful meetings is the best way to get to the core of what your membership needs and desires and goals and ambitions are. And once again, because you fostered such a great culture, you're conducting smooth and impactful meetings, you now have an engaged membership, which is hopefully what the end game is for many of our clubs when we conduct quality meetings. We're now going to get into the bulk of the presentation and really talk about how to incorporate quality elements. And I'm going to explain this in 3 different parts. We're going to talk about quality before the meeting, during, and then after. Now, quality starts before the meeting. and I think you may know where I'm going to go with this. It starts with you, the club officers. You guys not only represent the well-being of the club and the day-to-day operations, but you're also representing Toastmasters at large, and you're the public face for what your club represents in terms of culture. A quality executive board will segue into quality meetings. I encourage you all to pursue and complete your training. You're here today, which is a great start. Toastmasters International does have a 4 officer minimum to get the DCP point, but at Princeton, at least, we make it an effort for every single officer to be fully trained. So hopefully that can be something that your club is already fostering. If not, this would be a great year to encourage that kind of habit. Traditionally at Toastmasters, the Toastmaster of the upcoming meeting is the one who should be in charge of preparing the agenda. But that shouldn't mean that the officer should be idle and look from afar. Make sure you're in constant contact with the Toastmaster, and even if, especially if you're the VP of Education, assist where possible. Make sure every role is filled before that meeting. And if it gets down to the point where we have a few openings still and it's come meeting time, as a board member, step up, take on that role to ensure a quality and clear meeting. Now, a big point of my prior presentation and a big point of tonight's presentation is going to be to encourage themed meetings. We will go into this a little bit later, but as Rhonda preluded before, it's possible that the generic Toastmaster meeting routine can become a little mundane, a little stale, and a little repetitive. But when you incorporate themes into your meeting, that does a world of difference. I've been with Princeton Toastmasters for almost 4 years, and I would say at over 90% of our meetings, there is a theme attached to it. And we're going to go through later on some ideas to help you think about incorporating themes into your meetings later on. There was a point in time at Princeton early in the pandemic where we had a rush of new members join. I think they were getting comfortable with the idea of being at home for a while and they wanted to improve their Zoom communication skills. I think we had about 9 new members within a 2-month span. So what we ended up doing was we hosted a one-off new member orientation. And what this was an opportunity for these new members, as well as our current membership if they so choose, to come meet with the executive board, have their questions answered, and we also conducted a mini table topic session for them to get comfortable with the idea of speaking in front of a crowd. So if you find that your club is going to experience some rapid growth and it's going as a result of your quality meetings, consider a new member orientation that's outside of your regular meeting schedule. And then on top of that, if your club doesn't already have a mentorship program, I highly recommend you look into establishing one. At Princeton Toastmasters, we have an additional officer role called a mentor coordinator. And their priority is to meet with the newest members and match them with a mentor, a more seasoned member of the club. And for the first few months, help them get their feet wet, let them know how to sign up for roles, get them ready for their icebreaker, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something that can do wonders for your membership and get them really in tune and prepared to participate in your meetings. Now let's go into the meeting itself. If you want a quality meeting, it all starts with bringing enthusiasm. And as club officers, we can sort of be the catalyst for this. Always have a smile on your face. Introduce all of the members and the guests that walk in with a smile and a greeting. Make sure everyone's comfortable and just keep that high level of energy going throughout the meeting. That plays a large role in delivering quality. Now, to get a little more procedural here, it is important to maintain time integrity. Start the meeting on time, end it on time, and really make sure that the roles are within their established time limits. We need to be respectful that people choose to come to our club meetings and it has taken up their free time. So let us make sure that they get the absolute most out of it and that we don't overstay our welcome in their extracurricular lives. It's good practice as the Toastmaster and also I would say as the VP of Education to confirm that members with meeting roles are present at start. I would suggest really honing in that having participants show up 15 minutes prior to the speech is a good benchmark to establish. And how that can also start is by you as club officers showing up 15 minutes early as well. Just making sure that they are being kept company. If they have any questions or concerns, that you'd be able to address them. But I would really encourage that once the meeting starts, that everybody has a role is there and good to go. In an ideal world, we have the agenda completely done before the meeting. I know that's not always the case, but nevertheless, plan to share and distribute the agenda before the meeting. At Princeton, we send an emailed PDF copy out to membership at large 24 hours in advance of our meetings. And then we also bring about 50 hard copies with us for members to use at our in-person meetings. This one is always a little bit tricky because I know at our club we've had some experiences of this where we seem to get the same members participating at every meeting. And we oftentimes see members who are present at the meeting but are just resisting the idea of really being a part of the meeting. They're just there to watch. As officers, I would try and highlight these people in your mind and then approach them when, on a one-on-one basis and simply ask, what's holding them back or try and reiterate to them like what they're trying to get out of their membership experience. It's great to show up and to absorb, but you get so much more out of the meetings when you are an active participant. And I threw in guests there as well because I have noticed that some guests compared to others are a little bit more enthusiastic about the idea about becoming a Toastmaster. So in certain instances of that at Princeton, we have had given guests the opportunity to participate at table topics at the end of those segments. Usually it kind of goes against the philosophy because we want to make sure that paid members are getting the priority and the most out of their membership. But this has been something that, we've been making exceptions for. It only takes a few minutes and it ultimately has led these people to become members the next go around. So if you spot guests who seem ambitious and willing and eager, give them a chance to hop up on stage during your meeting. And then speaking of those guests, always introduce them before the meeting, ask for feedback afterwards, and invite them to join. And if you have a quality meeting, more likely than not, they will. So let's talk about now after the meeting. I felt guilty of this the past few years being a club officer, but I felt at times that it was on me and my fellow board members to really think for the club and act on behalf of the club, which in some cases, sure, but we have to remember that every club is a democracy, and it is important that we as club officers garner a pulse from the club from time to time. A great example of this was last year when, as president, I made the effort to move from virtual back to in-person meetings. I couldn't just necessarily do that with the snap of a finger. I wanted to make sure that membership was comfortable with the idea. So I did a pulse survey, I shared the results with the board at our board meeting, and we were able to confidently make a decision to go back to in-person meetings, and it's been a success ever since. Let's make sure that when guests leave the meeting that we don't lose contact with them. Get their phone number, get their email address, follow up the next day, give them any sort of supplementary information that they may need or that you may think would be helpful for them. Let's make sure that they feel valued and that they continue to see that the quality of our club extends beyond the meeting itself and into the outside meeting hours when we're working with membership on a one-on-one basis. Now, every club has them. Every club has a certain group of members who are still paying and active in that sense, but you haven't seen at meetings in a very long time. Reach out to them and say how much you miss them and invite them back. And believe it or not, more often than not, they probably will. Now, it may just be for a meeting or two, but to bring back those members who, for the most part, are more seasoned and are more experienced, perhaps they just got involved with a different club, or they've, exhausted everything they could do as a Toastmaster and they have different priorities. But those occasional visits can go a long way for your current membership base. It can reinvigorate them to see an old, more accomplished member like that. But also, it could just help bring back a good, positive energy. Now, as we know, we are on Pathways, which is a great tool, but it's still one that is sometimes not fully comprehended by members. I know we've had a fair share of members who aren't even signed up for Pathways yet, and they've been with our club for a few years now. That's a problem. So what I would encourage us officers to do is to make sure that members are aware of their path success so far, and if they have any questions of Pathways, that we try and address them as soon as we can. It's my hope that we're all ambassadors ourselves to the Pathways program. That was something I stressed as president last year. If anybody came up with a question about Pathways, I expected myself and my fellow board members to be able to help them walk them through it. But especially for our VPEs out there, where we know that a big chunk of our DCP status hinges on the educational awards, let's make sure that members that are a speech away, a level away, what have you, are aware and that they are encouraged to continue pursuing those goals. And when they do eventually get to those goals, let's make sure we are approving those awards timely and let's recognize them. It goes a long way to just say a simple sentence during your meeting, congrats to so-and-so on completing your level 4, and then having a nice round of applause. There's a lot of value in recognizing and being aware of the success of your fellow membership. And that goes hand in hand with delivering a quality meeting. Going back to my first bullet point about garnering a pulse from your club, if there's clearly an issue in communication about something, maybe a certain role is not being viewed correctly by membership, for example, or there is a Pathways issue, what have you, let's make the effort to plan some sessions that we can connect with these members on a more one-on-one basis and help walk them through any needs or issues that they may come up with. And then going off that, lastly, let's swallow our egos and let's always be willing and open to suggestions from outside the executive board. Like I said, we are all communities and we are all budding cultures of what our membership base consists of. It's not just a 7-8 person effort up at the executive board. We want to make sure that every member's voice is heard and that we look at every suggestion they bring about how to improve the club and how to add quality to the club seriously. Now, I threw a lot of your way, but I'd love to have another brief discussion segment. So we just went through ways to bring quality before, during, and after club meetings. So the question now is, what exactly do you expect to gain from consistently conducting meetings of quality? What do you guys think? You just conducted consistently quality meetings. Membership is going great, but what do you hope to gain from this? Any sort of thoughts? Go right ahead.
Well, This is Nikki from Philly Forum.
Hmm?
When we conduct really good meetings, the people that are in attendance and the members start talking about us. And what that does is it creates interest in the club and it allows us to get more guests and then continue to get new members.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Joan, I see your hand is up. Go right ahead.
I was going to say that when we have quality meetings, people come back to the meeting.
Yes,
You have
retention.
repeat attendance. People are interested. They want to be part of the club. They want to come back and see what's going to happen next. So
Yes.
that's
And
important.
like an anticipation sort of, right?
Yep.
Yep. That's great. Anybody else? I mean, those are some of the key ones, absolutely. But what I would also say is, potentially because of all these factors, maybe your club on a more um, statistical level, maybe you gain an additional DCP point or two because of it. Because let's say you have a reinvigorated membership and they want to complete more levels. That's another way to look at it. Maybe your club takes those steps further if they're not already to get to presence distinguished status. It really does start with a quality meeting. Great inputs, everyone. Thank you so very much. Now, I want to circle back to the biggest takeaway I want you all to take from this, and that's revolving around the idea of infusing fun in your meetings, specifically from the idea of themed meetings. Like I said, I cannot emphasize this enough. This adds a certain level of flair to what you bring to the club meeting experience. And what we'll go through here is just some ideas to help you get motivated to bring back to your club. I know that there have been recreations of Academy Award shows before. If you think about holidays, especially around the holiday season in December, or it could be something as easily as the first day of spring, let's say. All great ways to incorporate themes. Going back to the seasons, it could simply just be something fall related. You can make a whole meeting based on the concept of fall, like pumpkin pie, Thanksgiving, football. That can all be lumped into a nice themed meeting. I haven't seen this, but this one definitely caught my eye. The idea of reenacting current or historical events, that can add a whole nother dynamic. Like perhaps maybe the Toastmaster talks like JFK the entire meeting. That's just an example that came to my mind. It can be something as simple as just an interest. Maybe the theme of the meeting is just about pets or a certain color or traveling. The ideas are endless when it comes to themed meetings. And the last thing I'll bring up is if you're struggling to come up with a theme, that the calendar is your best friend. Look at the calendar, look what's around. We had a meeting this year that happened to fall on St. Patrick's Day. So what do you think the theme of that meeting was? Exactly. Going off it, let's plan some more fun. If your meeting agenda has some gaps in it, do a roll grab bag situation. That could be another way to add and invigorate some fun. I was a part of this last month, a joint meeting with another club. Now, it wasn't international, but it was from a different district, and I got a lot of value out of that because what that told me was that I was a part of a meeting where, we sort of become enamored with this microcosm of where we're at, but that there are others with different missions elsewhere in this world as well. Very cool concept. You could host a debate, speechathon or table topics-a-thon. At Princeton, we have a third Thursday meeting. That happens about 3 or 4 times a year. We dedicate those to speechathons, so an idea you can do as well. Heck, you can even just rearrange the room. That adds a different level to it. Make the stage in the back of the room instead of the front where it normally is. That'll go a long way, making the meeting a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. Briefly, I just want to share with you two meetings, themed meetings that we did at Princeton the past year. On August 4th, 2021, we hosted an out of basement meeting. And what we try and do every year at Princeton is host a meeting outside. We usually have our meetings in a church hall, a church basement hall in Princeton, but we always try one meeting during the summer to get out and rent a space and have a nice picnic, incorporate a theme here. As you can see, we did a pirate themed with some pizza. It was a wonderful time, and this was after a year hiatus due to the pandemic. And I'll make one more mention. You see that beautiful pavilion you could tell that we were using? Because Toastmasters is a 501c corporation, we were able to rent this from Mercer County, New Jersey for free. So there are very cost efficient options out there. You just gotta go look for them. And then every year we host a holiday party, and we're able to do so this year after once again a year hiatus. Just great themed meeting. Everybody dressed very appropriate for the theme. It was a great time. I'm looking forward to this upcoming years as well. So now you have all the tools to deliver your quality meetings. And we're doing okay on time. So we're going to go ahead and start the breakout room activity as we approach the end of my presentation today. And what we're going to do is share success stories. So we're actually going to probably make the duration about 10 minutes instead of 15. But what we have is we have some breakout rooms set up. And I want you to take a few minutes just to think about the most impactful meeting you have ever attended at your home club. And what I want you to do in these roundtable discussions is to share your experience. And the goal is to highlight what made that meeting so special so that we can continue spreading insights and ideas among our community. Because it's very possible that I might have missed a glaring, element of some sort. And so with these breakout rooms, we're going to close that gap a little bit. And then I want also you all to answer the question, did any club success, for example, new members join, motivated membership, come as a result of this impactful meeting you're discussing about? Why or why not? And sometimes if it's a why not, it's a great opportunity to sort of look back, reflect, and think, what could we do differently to make sure it was a more lasting impression on the quality of our club? So Nami, if you wouldn't mind starting the breakout rooms, once again, we'll give you 10 minutes, and then I just would like to call everyone back here briefly so I can do some closing remarks.
Hi, Jin. Did you need help getting into a breakout room? I noticed you came back to the main room. Are you there? Hi, Jin. Are you there? Your camera and your mic are both off. I noticed you came back to the main room. Do you need help getting into a breakout room? Hi, Fotini. I noticed you came back to the main room. Do you need help getting into a breakout room? Did you want to go to a new breakout room? Your mic and your camera are both off. Oh, okay. Okay, which room do you want to go into?
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I hope you found some value in that segment. I appreciate your all participation. I'm going to now uh, conclude my presentation, and let me share my screen once again. And really, the conclusion here is three main points I want to make. Your meeting quality is going to begin with the executive board. If you bring the level of enthusiasm and if you represent your club to the utmost potential that you can do, it goes a long way. Driving home the point of themed meetings can really help drive quality meetings because it's going to lend to anticipation about what the next meeting is going to be about. It's going to keep things fresh. It's going to motivate members and it's going to make guests want to come back and experience more, which is ultimately the grand result of what we're trying to get out of quality meetings. So it is my hope that there is at least one thing you learned from this session today that you'll implement to your club. No need to answer this, just a question to think about. But lastly, before I turn the meeting back over to Rhonda, is I just want to give you all my email address. Please feel free to reach out with me with any questions or concerns. I am here at your service. This is a topic that I am very passionate about because I have seen it work time and time again at Princeton, and it is my hope that you can sort of take what we talked about here today, bring it back to your club, and really hone in on delivering quality meetings.